There was a lot of hype going into tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw live from Madison Square Garden in New York City. The star power was there. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Obafemi, Cody Rhodes kicked off the show. How was it going to fare out with a big, hyped up episode of Monday Night Raw? I thought it was okay. I personally liked last week's show from Boston better. I enjoyed that show more than I did this week. And I'm not saying this week's was any bad, but once again, we had a good beginning, middle, and end. And this week, we had a good beginning, middle, and end. But the stuff in like the middle segments was very, very rough. And I am going to talk a lot about one particular thing that I just absolutely hate about WWE, and I will get to it when we get to the match. But um, we had Cody Rhodes on the show tonight. He's a SmackDown champion, the WWE champion, but they wanted him on the show. And he had a segment with Stephanie McMahon, which was great. It was honestly probably my favorite thing on the entire show. That was really great. The Brock Lesnar Obafemi segment, I'm glad they didn't fight again tonight. That was really good. The CM Punk Roman Reigns stuff, I feel a little bit fatigued with brawls after what happened on Friday with Cody and Randy Orton. That was absolutely horrific. By the way, I excuse me. I didn't watch SmackDown on Friday because I watched the Sweet 16 for March Madness instead. And thank God I made that choice because over on Cage Match, that SmackDown was rated a 2.1 out of 10. That is one of the worst episodes of SmackDown of all time. And I caught myself up as to what happened on that show. And I would say I can't say that's the worst show on the road to WrestleMania I've seen because the SmackDown 2 weeks ago in Phoenix, that was horribly bad. That was horrendous. And it's a shame because that's the night Randy Orton turned heel. Um, but my biggest takeaway coming out of tonight is what happened with Seth Rollins and the returning Gunther. We haven't seen Gunther on Monday Night Raw in 3 weeks, and he is back tonight. So we will get to all of that, and we are back to regularly scheduled programming here on the Big Fight Field channel. I've had um, a busy couple weeks. March Madness took over my Fridays. Last Wednesday, I was at the Sixers game. This week, we will be back. We have AEW Dynamite Wednesday here on the channel. We have SmackDown on Friday. Um, no, I will not be watching that NXT Stand and Deliver show on Saturday. I will be watching the Final Four. Um, so I won't be doing anything about that. But we have such a big month in April because not only is it WrestleMania, we have AEW Dynasty, and we have the NFL Draft. So April is going to be a big month here on the Big Fight Field channel, and I do want to incorporate. I mean, I guess I can. I was thinking about making it an own video, and maybe I will, but I really want to incorporate more vlogs into this channel, and wrestling shows are very expensive to go to, especially WWE shows. And I get to thinking to myself, I'm not going to be making a lot of Raw and SmackDown content in the summer because I'm going to be busy with 2 jobs. So, how can I make more content right here on the Big Five Field channel? Well, I don't really talk baseball on the channel, and I think I am going to make this a separate video at some point this week, maybe like Thursday or something like that. Um, I don't talk baseball here on the Big Right Field channel. I've never talked baseball. But I love vlogs. I love doing vlogs for you guys. And I love the Phillies. So I might start doing some Phillies vlogs. A couple of them. Not every single game I go to, but a couple of them. Just doing a short vlog with my experience at the game. I love vlogging. I love the Phillies, so I'll talk about that in a separate video later this week. But we have so much coming up in the month of April. I'm very excited. I'm very much excited. Okay, let's start this off. Cody Rhodes kicked off this episode of Monday Night Raw, and this is coming off one of the worst brawls. One of the worst pull-apart brawls I've ever seen, with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton on SmackDown, where Cody arrived at SmackDown 10 minutes before the show was going to go off air. He gets off his bus, and they go to commercial break. And Cody is walking through backstage. He's casually walking as the clock goes tick, 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 as the show's about to end. And he gets to the ring. The crowd doesn't even cheer for him because he gets down to the ring and it's like he's wasted 5 minutes walking. So now they're brawling and they're fighting. And one guy gets pulled apart and the other comes back. And the other guy gets pulled apart and the other comes back. And here comes Jelly Roll. And Jelly Roll's trying to play peacekeeper. And WWE, they think Randy Orton RKOing Jelly Roll is going to get fans to boo Randy Orton. Well, I got news for them. It didn't exactly work out that way. So, that was Friday, but tonight was much better. Tonight was great. We got Cody Rhodes, and as he's in the middle of cutting his promo, we got an interruption by Stephanie McMahon, of all people. And I'm like, wait a second. Stephanie McMahon and Randy Orton, they have history. Randy Orton, in the past, in the way past, has punt kicked Stephanie McMahon in the head. And Cody says, I'm very curious as to why you're out here in the ring with me right now. And Stephanie said, well, the last time I checked, my name is Stephanie McMahon, and this is the house my grandfather built, Madison Square Garden. So, Stephanie talks to Cody about this current version of Randy Orton and how Cody has been a great multiple-time WWE champion. But this version of Cody cannot beat the Viper version of Randy Orton. The Randy Orton we are seeing now, he has the voices taking over his head. And not only does he have it taken over his head, he loves what the voices are saying to him. He said, you know who had the killer instinct? He said, your father. She said, Cody, you are not your father. This version of Cody Rhodes can't beat this version of Randy Orton. And Cody comes back and he says, you want to bring up my father? You're right. I'm not my father. And Stephanie McMahon, with all due respect, you're not yours either. So, the Vince McMahon reference got a huge pop in Madison Square Garden. So that led to Stephanie slapping Cody in the face. And as Stephanie was about to walk out, Cody grabs her by the wrist And Cody says, Stephanie McMahon, I have 2 words for you. And the crowd screams out, suck it. And Cody Rhodes says, thank you. So, that segment right there, outside the heel turn. And granted, they haven't had many segments together because they ripped Cody off TV for a week. He came back last week. They've been doing this shit with Randy Orton and Matt Cardona. Whatever. I don't care. Matt Cardona's not important in this story. This was really good. This was really good. I enjoyed it. This is Stephanie McMahon offering guidance, as if this guy needs any guidance. But she's offering guidance to Cody that this version of you cannot beat this version of Randy Orton at WrestleMania. It just won't happen, and you'll never be WWE champion again if this is the Cody that's going to walk into WrestleMania. And I really hope they're not trying to play an underdog story with Cody, because anything this company does with Randy Orton right now, he is going to get cheered. And I don't think it's necessarily the fact that the fans hate Cody. Hell, I am getting a little bit Cody fatigued. I thought that Drew McIntyre should have just walked into WrestleMania as the WWE champion. If they wanted to do the heel turn, they could have done it at WrestleMania. They could have done it after WrestleMania. I still think Drew McIntyre should be WWE champion right now. Should have just went with that fatal 4-way. But I really hope they're not trying to tell an underdog story to take down this current Randy Orton, because nobody's cheering against Randy Orton. They got him breaking Matt Cardona's wrist, and the crowd is cheering for him. They got him RKOing his good friend Jelly Roll, and they are chanting Randy. So anything they have Randy Orton doing on SmackDown right now, it literally doesn't matter, because he's going to get cheered no matter what. And I'm very curious to see what they're going to do this Friday, because they're in St. Louis. And St. Louis is Randy's hometown. So I'm curious as to see what they have planned to try to get us, those fans in St. Louis, to boo their guy Randy Orton. And it's not going to happen. When we got to our first match of the night, a street fight for the tag team titles. Logan Paul and Austin Theory versus the Usos. And the first thing I would like to report on is the Yeet era is over. The Usos have the Usos have new theme music. Jey Uso did not yeet in the match at all. Crowd is still saying yeet, but the Yeet era is over. I couldn't be any happier. I loved it for a while. I think it ran its course after SummerSlam. I think after SummerSlam, I'm like, okay, it's getting a little stale. It was fun to yeet for a little bit, but I'm glad it's over. I'm glad it's over. But this is what aggravated me the most the entire night. So, before the match started, we got a backstage segment with Adam Pearce and I Show Speed, okay? I'm going to keep track of this. I Show Speed is asking Pearce how he could get uncursed by Danhausen. Danhausen shows up. He's telling Speed all this shit, whatever. LA Knight appears. He says, hey, I want you to not be bothered by the curse. I got you a front row ticket to come out and watch this street fight, and I'm going to be on commentary to make sure the Vision aren't pulling any tricks. So that's the first segment of all of this, okay? Then they have ISHO Speed in the crowd for this tag team title match. And LA Knight is on commentary, okay? They have ISHO Speed sitting next to Logan Paul's mom. So the street fight is fine. It's going okay. But then Logan goes to the outside and he goes right in front of his mom. And his mom gives him brass knucks. And Speed is telling him, no, you can't cheat. Don't use the brass knucks. That's not right. So LA Knight, he sees those brass knucks. He goes right after Logan Paul. And Logan is holding on to ISHO Speed for dear life. And Speed goes over the barricade. And the brass knucks fall. And as LA Knight takes out Logan, ISHO Speed puts on the brass knucks. And he's got it around his knuckles. And LA Knight comes up from behind. And he knocks out ISHO Speed. ISHO Speed knocks out LA Knight. So LA Knight's out cold. Speed had no idea it was LA Knight. Logan Paul is celebrating. He steals the knuckles from Speed. Speed is panicking. Logan Paul goes to punch Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso kicks him in the face. They double super kick Austin Theory. Jay goes to the top, but Logan Paul knocks off Jimmy, who's standing in the ring. Jay gets distracted, cross bodies Logan Paul. Austin Theory crawls into the cover, and Austin Theory pins Jimmy Uso. So, the Vision, the B version of the Vision, Logan Paul and Austin Theory are the new tag team champions. And then they did a third segment backstage with ISHO Speed as they're about to go to dinner. My biggest problem, and this has only happened in like the past 2-3 weeks. My biggest problem with WWE right now is how they were over pushing these celebrities. They are featuring too much ISO Speed and too much Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll had 4 segments on SmackDown Friday / a match. So he had 4 segments plus a match. So he was showcased on that show Friday night 5 different times. And now he is probably going to play a pivotal part in Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And he had a match with Kit Wilson on SmackDown in which he beat Kit Wilson. ISHO Speed had a backstage segment last week, but he had 3 segments in the span of a half hour. It is too much with these celebrities. Oh, the ticket sales are down. We gotta bring in as many popular faces as we can. Let's get ISHO Speed. Let's get Jelly Roll. Hell, let's call John and make him the host for WrestleMania this year. WrestleVotes already came out with that report. That WWE was desperate with ticket sales. And they wanted to call John Cena to make him the host so that people can buy tickets. And sure, that is great that John's going to be on the show as a host capacity. But guess what? John Cena's not wrestling. So even though if you have 40,000 right now, I don't see WWE getting 55,000 like they want for each night because John Cena's hosting. I don't see that. It is too much with ISO Speed. It is way too much with Jelly Roll. It's to a point now where Jelly Roll is probably going to get a match at WrestleMania over Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes. They wronged those guys. They worked their butt off for the United States Championship and their feud, and now they're going to get shafted. ISO Speed is going to be the reason that LA Knight has a match at WrestleMania this year. How pathetic is that? Because this will probably lead to Speed teaming up with Logan Paul and Austin Theory against LA Knight and the Usos. It's how they get a celebrity match. It's how they get Logan Paul on the show. It's how they get the Usos on the show. Even though I do think the Usos are going to play a part in the Roman Reigns CM Punk match. And it gets LA Knight on the show. So again, ISO Speed being the reason LA Knight gets a match at WrestleMania, that's pathetic. That's pathetic in my opinion. So that aggravated me. I liked nothing about that. Nothing about that match I was a fan of. So next, Liv Morgan came out and she immediately called out Stephanie Vaquer. And she spoke in Spanish, so I don't understand what she was saying. That's Liv. And then Stephanie comes out, and they brawl, and Stephanie's getting the upper hand, and out comes Roxanne Perez. And they get a 2-on-1 attack. Liv hits an Oblivion, and holds up the Women's World Championship. And now Roxanne Perez is back with the Judgment Day. And I would be more excited about it, but that was spoiled at 12 o'clock in the afternoon today. And what stinks with reading tweets from wrestling media is there's a lot of spoilers going on right now for WWE. We knew before SmackDown. I didn't even plan on watching SmackDown Friday night. And I saw a report that Sami Zayn was going to accept the open challenge from Carmelo Hayes tonight on SmackDown. And what happened? Friday night, Sami Zayn accepts the open challenge. We see reports that Roxanne Perez is going to return tonight. We see reports at 3 o'clock that Kofi Kingston's fighting Penta. Why can't we just keep this a secret? Why can't you make it a surprise for the fans? Anyway, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus Nia Jax and Lash Legend for the tag team titles. We all know how this ends. Close near fall. Bayley's able to lift up Nia. Powerbomb. Moonsault by Lyra Valkyria. Nia kicks out. Crowd is actually into this match. And then the Bellas come down. And they get deflated a little bit. The Bellas come down. Charlotte and Alexa come down. And we get a big, big brawl that causes a DQ. And we get it made official that at WrestleMania, it's going to be Charlotte and Alexa versus the Bellas versus Bayley and Lyra versus Nia Jax and Lash Legend for the tag team titles. And the build for this match has been Charlotte and Alexa challenge Nia and Lash. Bellas calls a DQ. The following week, the Bellas challenge Nia and Lash for the tag titles. Charlotte and Alexa calls a DQ. Then Charlotte and Alexa fight the Bellas. Charlotte and Alexa face the Bellas. Nia and Lash, they cause a DQ. Bayley and Lyra, They come down to attack the champs. They have a match on Raw. They cause a DQ. So basically the build for this match has been all of these teams have gotten shots for the tag team titles, and it's ended in disqualifications. I'm sorry, that's not interesting to me. That match does nothing for me. It'll be nice for Bayley and Lyra to win, hopefully. They deserve it. So now we get the Brock Lesnar Obafemi segment. And again, beginning segment was really good. Middle of the segment, middle of the show, I thought this was very good as well. Paul Heyman is out there with Brock Lesnar doing his shtick. Paul Heyman is cutting a promo on Obafemi, and Brock gets tired. Brock gets impatient. He says, Obafemi, I just want you to get your ass down this ring right now. So Adam Pearce in security comes out. He says, out of respect, as Madison Square Garden boos the crap out of Adam Pearce, he says, out of respect, I have to keep one of my top matches at WrestleMania in place. And if these two fight each other, they're going to rip each other's heads off. But out came Obafemi. And he got a huge reaction. And he took out a bunch of security guards. He shoved Adam Pearce. And he made Brock Lesnar impatient. Paced around the ring. Stood on the ring. Got in the ring. And then all of a sudden, Paul Levesque, Triple H, head of creative, the guy that's running the ship, he comes out. And he tries to play peacekeeper between Brock Lesnar and Obafemi, saving his big match for WrestleMania. And even though he's trying to be, he thinks he's Dana White. It's like Dana White when he's got a big UFC fight, and at the weigh-ins he stands right in the middle of the competitors because he doesn't want any physicality. That's what this reminded me of. But I thought this segment was really well done. I think Obafemi standing tall 2 weeks in a row. I don't think him standing tall 3 weeks in a row would have been a good thing. This was good. Keeps them away from each other for another week. Next week, Brock will be there in Houston. And we shouldn't get any form of physicality until the go-home show. Then, you can have Brock stand tall. That way he gets the last laugh before WrestleMania. And then Obafemi goes over. Very simple. Very, very simple. We have Penta defending the Intercontinental Championship against Kofi Kingston. So, these guys had a good match. It was fine. The story was Kofi didn't want help from Grayson Waller. So Grayson let him do it on his own. Kofi was getting beat up. Grayson was like, let me help you. Kofi's like, no. So, Penta, I can't remember what he did on the outside, but Grayson's like, you should have accepted my help. You should have taken my help. And Penta just comes running in. And he hits Kofi with a Mexican Destroyer. He hits he hits. He hits Grayson with a Mexican destroyer, and he gets Kofi in the ring. Kofi hits Trouble in Paradise, and Penta kicked out, and he goes for it again. Penta ducked. Penta hit the destroyer, and Penta retained the Intercontinental Championship. So it was Jackie Redmond in the ring with Penta, and she asked what his plans are for WrestleMania now that he successfully defended the title 3 weeks in a row. He says, "It is a dream of mine to defend this championship at WrestleMania." But he says he accepts all coming challengers. And he says, "Come one, come all. But if you're going to take it from me, you're not only taking this championship, you're taking my kingdom. And if you want it, you're going to have to climb for it in a ladder match." And again, I would have been way more excited for this if I didn't see it posted on social media an hour beforehand this match took place. So it was spoiled. I go on social media all the time during the shows because I like to tweet during the shows to give my opinions. But for a casual fan, you would probably be pissed if you found this shit out on social media during the show. So before the main event segment, they announce the competitors for this match. And they announced Dragon Lee and Javon Evans. Perfectly fine. But then Michael Cole, before showing the graphic, he says, "These number one contenders have been clarified through matches on Raw and main event. You can win matches against jobbers like Joaquin Wilde on main event and get a match for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania." Which brings me to my point. So the match is Penta defending the Intercontinental Championship against Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, J.D. McDonough, Rusev, and one more participant, which I think is going to be Vikingo, because Vikingo declared on AAA TV that he is going after Penta and the Intercontinental Championship. So I expect Vikingo to be in that match at WrestleMania. But what the fuck has Rusev done to be in that match? He was off TV for 3 months before they had him feud with Obafemi for that little 3-week burst or whatever. And then he lost in 5 minutes, and we haven't seen him since. Now he'll have this match at WrestleMania. He won't win, and he'll be off TV for another 2 months. Because that's what WWE does. So we have Paul Heyman out on the ring, and this is a pretty big segment here. We have Paul Heyman out in the ring, cutting a promo on Seth, and Adam Pearce comes out. And he's like, "I've warned you a bunch of times, Heyman, and you just won't take my advice." Heyman's like, "I would never take advice to you. I would never read emails from you. I don't believe a word from you, Mr. Pearce." He says, "Well, you're missing out on something." He said, "The Boston Police Department has released all charges, and Seth Rollins is being charged with nothing." Oh, I told you guys. I told you guys how ridiculous that segment was last week, and that I would bet you $100 or something like that Rollins would be on the show next week. Oh my gosh. Seth Rollins was on the show this week. Seth comes up behind Paul Heyman with a steel chair, and he gets ready to get curb stomped. And the crowd, they start cheering. And some of the people in Madison Square Garden, they start barking because they think Braun Breaker's coming out. But it wasn't Braun Breaker. It was Gunther dragging out Seth Rollins, putting Seth Rollins in a chokehold, and putting him to sleep. And there's your match for WrestleMania. Seth Rollins versus Gunther. I mean, it only took them 3 weeks to get this guy back on television. And I'm glad he's got a match at WrestleMania. The people that were complaining that this guy wasn't going to have a match or a story at WrestleMania are now complaining that there's no story. It's random. Yeah, the original plan was supposed to be Rey Mysterio for Gunther. The original plan for Seth Rollins was supposed to be Braun Breaker. Rey Mysterio and Braun Breaker, they're both injured. They're not competing at WrestleMania. So why not put Seth Rollins and Gunther together? It could be the best match all weekend. That legitimately could be the best match all of WrestleMania weekend. Both nights. That could be the best match. But I mean, hey, I was upset that they didn't have the guy that retired, AJ Styles, and John Cena on TV for 3 weeks on the road to WrestleMania. You're damn right I was. I'm glad they got him something. Is it random? Sure. But it makes sense. Because both their opponents at WrestleMania, they're both injured. So why not put them against each other? And they got 2 weeks to tell a story. And then we had the main event. Roman Reigns came out. He told Madison Square Garden to acknowledge him. CM Punk came out immediately afterwards. No microphone in hand. He wants to fight. He wanted a fight. And they're brawling. And I'm like, it's good. But I'm so fatigued after what happened with Cody and Randy Orton on Friday. So last week, Roman stood tall. And this week, CM Punk stands tall. So that was your ending to Monday Night Raw. Got some pretty big segments on the show. Cody and Stephanie. The return of Roxanne Perez. Obafemi and Brock Lesnar again. CM Punk taking out Roman Reigns. And then what I thought was the biggest segment on the show tonight. Seth Rollins getting cleared and then getting choked out by Gunther. We're now getting Gunther versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. So I am going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. I will be back Wednesday night here with AEW Dynamite as we are heading towards AEW Dynasty next Sunday night. Subscribe, comment down below, hit the like button if you liked your heard from me, and I will see you guys Wednesday night on the Big Fight Field channel for AEW. Peace.